Hi, Sages. Happy birthday. Yay, it's Sag season. I'm so happy it's Sag season. I love y'all. I'm a Sag rising, fire signs all day. Love you guys. Yeah, when Sag season hits, it's just like the truth comes out, real conversations start happening. So I appreciate Sag season, and I'm using a new deck. I'm gonna try this deck. It's called the Ghetto Tarot, and it's a photographic interpretation of the Rider Waite deck. And I want to show you the box for it. It's actually really beautiful, and it was created by this woman named Alice Meets. She's a photographer. I think out of Northern Europe. I believe she's Northern European. I'm not quite sure if she's Swedish or I don't know exactly where from, but she collaborated with this group of Haitian artists called Atis Resistance, I think. I hope I pronounced that right. But all of the characters, all of the depictions in the actual cards themselves are Haitian artists. It's awesome. I think it's great. So I'm going to try this deck. So what's going on for Sagittarius for December 2017? It's your birthday. Happy birthday, Sages. I just found out that one of my good friends is Sagittarius, and I was like, of course you are. That's why I love you so much. So let's see what's coming up for Sagittarius December 2017. Sagittarius December 2017. This deck likes me to actually pull, so I'm not going to wait too much for the cards to pop out. This deck likes to be pulled. I'm getting used to it. So Sagittarius 2017. That kind of popped out. Sagittarius December 2017. Okay, so let's see what's going on. First card out is the Hierophant. So, sorry for the glare. Initial energy. I feel that a lot of you, this definitely has to do with sort of established. When I think of the Hierophant, I think of like a status card. So I think of like what's like a lot of you are experiencing sort of a solidification with your status. Maybe some of you are getting married, or you've been promoted at work, or there is a new normal for you all. There's a new normal that's coming up for you all. And I feel like this card's also coming up because when the Hierophant comes up for me, it also brings up needing to sort of think about or rethink our established routines and sort of what we deem normal in our day-to-day life, or just like the normatives that we've kind of learned to live by. So I feel that a lot of you might be kind of rethinking or questioning, but let's see what else kind of surrounds the Hierophant. Sagittarius, what else? Let's see. Three of Cups. Yes, so I definitely feel that a lot of you, there's a lot of celebration going on. Look at that, look at that awesome photograph. So Three of Cups, friendship, community, going out, celebrating. So I feel that a lot of you, there's something to celebrate regarding your status, and there's something to sort of celebrate regarding sort of what you've come to accomplish in your life. Four of Pentacles. Okay. Some of you might be also holding on. There's some... Okay, let's see what else is coming up. Oh, it popped out, so we will go with that. King of Cups. Wheel of Fortune came out, so definitely I do feel that, whatever frustrations or whatever... Let's look at the cards. Let's just look at the cards, shall we? Their cards are much bigger than what I'm used to, so they're not all going to fit in the screen. So, thus far, Hierophant, Three of Cups, Four of Pentacles, Wheel of Fortune, King of Cups. Six of Pentacles, Sagittarius, December 2017. Sagittarius, December 2017. The Hermit, December 2017. Okay, so what I'm also reading, and on the bottom of the deck is the Lovers. So some of you might be dealing with a soulmate situation, a relationship situation, or just a situation within yourself, because the Lovers isn't just about, it is definitely a card that indicates love or relationships, romantic love, things of that nature, and soulmates. But it's also a card for me that really signifies the need to sort of harmonize within your own self, to balance out your own energies, the need to recognize to balance or to bring together the two opposing sides of yourself, and to love yourself, right? Like if love is something that you want to experience, then how in your life, in your daily life, are you being a lover, or are you being loving, or sort of emitting, right, loving energies? So let's get into the reading. So what I'm also kind of sensing here with this Three of Cups situation is that I normally don't read it as this. For me, it really just signifies friendship, and it really depends what the other cards around it mean, but I am sort of picking up on like maybe a third party situation, or not necessarily third party, but a situation where you might be dealing with somebody who, it's not like the third party doesn't have to be another person, right? The third party might be like work or a job, or, like I have, I've, in my own personal love life, I've dated like a lot of, musicians, people who are also artists, and like the art itself becomes kind of like a third party entity in the relationship. And that can kind of throw things off balance, because I'm seeing down here the Six of Pentacles, and again, like we're seeing three people, right? And it's like there's one person here. I'm not sure if this is you or if this is somebody else, right? I feel like it's somebody else, but I feel like this is, somebody else. And there's two other people down here, right? Or it could be another person and maybe another obligation, right? Maybe another person and kids, another person in work, another person and art or passion, or there's something like this person is recognizing, like, I have these two, I have this person, they have either these two people, or I have, these two situations that I want to be able to give to equally, but it's like I can only really give breadcrumbs to both, right? As long as I have these two situations occurring, I can't even really give all these pentacles that I have to offer, that I want to offer. I can really only offer, small coins or change. Like this to me is a breadcrumbs kind of card. Like when it's showing up in a situation where things aren't balanced, it usually means that you or another person in the situation are sort of willing to settle for breadcrumbs, or willing to settle for things that, and like, I'm too good to be sitting down here shrouded in rags and sort of begging for whatever energy or time that you can spare me, right? Like I deserve to feel like this in my relationships with people. Like I deserve to feel like I am being celebrated, and I'm being honored, and I'm being respected, and people are coming together with me, right? Not feeling like I'm an obligation. And so I feel with this Hierophant card that this is something that's kind of been established, right? And once again, it doesn't have to, like when people say third party, like there are many ways in which you can experience a relationship that feels like a third party situation. And it doesn't just have to be, you dealing with somebody that's got another person, or like three people. It can be, once again, like a situation where, the other person has a lot of work, or you have a lot of work. And, where maybe they have a passion that they're really interested in and really devoted to, and it kind of sometimes, like, relationships take responsibility and a lot of work, and there's a lot that needs to go into creating this sort of energy, right? There needs to be balance, right? And it's like, I feel that a lot of you are like, where's the balance in this? Like, this person works all the time. This person, has a lot, and you've kind of I feel like you've kind of come to accept it as like your normal. This could also be for me could represent putting certain people on a pedestal, right? Like when you have the King of Cups underneath this Hierophant. So maybe some of you are dealing with a water sign, right? A Cancer, Pisces, or a Scorpio. And the King of Cups, yes, is definitely the suit of cups, but and is a very complex and very deep emotional person. Like, this person is very complicated and very complex, right? Like, this person has, a sea of emotions going on in here. They have a sea of emotions that's occurring for them. But at the same time, because they are a king, because they're still they have that strong masculine energy, kings are always represented by the air element, right? Like, any king in the suit also has a mixture of air with whatever element their suit is. So this is air and water. So it's like kind of like the battle of the heart and the mind, so to speak. And like, this king does his best to has mastered balancing those two elements of the heart and of the mind. But it still doesn't mean that it's, it still doesn't mean that they're like, maybe they might not be so emotionally demonstrative with you, or they may not be so willing to display, or like, because there's also this Four of Pentacles energy here, which tells me that there's like there's a lot of energy that's sort of being pent up and held back, right? I feel like on both ends. Like, we have, this Hierophant card to me also kind of is a bit of a stuffy energy, where it's like it's so kind of set in their ways, right? That whatever this King of Cups, whatever reality this person has kind of created about relationships, like, I feel like they're kind of stuck in that, right? There's Four of Pentacles to me definitely always represents a situation or a person where energy is stagnant, right? What were to happen if this person in this card were to stand up, right? Or, they're going to lose a pentacle on their head. But it's like, in order for new energy to come in, sometimes you got to lose something. Like, in order for new opportunities to come in order for new love to come in, right? You have to let go of a past lover, right? Like, it's in your best interest to not carry that baggage with you. But sometimes we get so stuck in this mindset, right? Hierophant sometimes to me is like somebody who's really like, whatever the norm is, whatever I believe to be true about my philosophies or my religious values or about how I live my daily life, or what, it's like that's the box that I live in. But it's like sometimes that box can be really limiting, right? And it's like the universe, the Wheel of Fortune to me always is like the universe is trying to bring change. The universe is trying to bring in something new, right? Or is trying to at least shift this energy between you and this person. Like, I definitely feel that, like, there is a lapse of balance, that there is, you feel like you're competing with either another person, or you're competing with this person's job, or with like their passion, or with something that, they're trying to do and get done at the moment. So yeah, I do feel that the universe is trying to, change, or changes are coming. Like, this situation, I feel like everything has ups and downs, and I feel, the Wheel of Fortune to me generally represents ups, right? Ups, positive changes coming, new energy coming in, things getting better, things sort of, the universe is trying to balance things out for you. For some of you, you might, Sagittarians, I've always known to be very sort of independent and to be very, and this card the Hermit is a number 9. Usually this card represents Virgo, but to me, because it's a 9, right here, it's flipped backwards, but it's a 9. that Sagittarius is a ruler of the ninth house, right? Philosophy, higher understanding, higher learning, religious values, things of that nature. And so I do feel that a lot of you are sort of, making a choice to sort of return to or be with yourself. And I feel like this light in here, right, really represents a lot of you getting in touch with what is it that I really want? What is it that I really need? And it's like we don't end up here in this Four of Pentacles energy, stagnant and sort of stuck and holding on to fears, holding on to hang-ups, for no reason. Like, we get here because we've experienced pain. We get here because we've experienced loss, and we don't want to experience loss. So there's a lot around not wanting to experience loss, not wanting to let things go because you're tired of having to like lose things. Believe you me, I get it, right? Like, you're tired of feeling like, why do I always feel like I'm in these situations where I feel that I'm ready, or I feel that like it's going to be balanced, and then I feel like I'm competing with other people, or I'm competing with other, aspects of my lover's life, and they don't really seem to see me, right? Like, the King of Cups is very intense and is very deep, but still being a king and still being ruled by that masculine energy can have a hard time recognizing and understanding the nuances of, of like what goes on around them, right? There's a kind of this one track sort of, mentality of I'm focusing on this now, and I will give to you as much as it becomes kind of logical and rational, which can be hurtful, right? And so we don't get here in this Four of Pentacles energy because, we've never experienced, right, what it meant to be without these Four Pentacles, right? So now it's like, I'm holding on, I am not letting go. And again, I think it mimics this sort of Six of Pentacles energy of like kind of taking what you can get and holding on to it, right? Taking what I can get and I'm holding on to it. But I do feel that a lot of you are aware of this dynamic, right? A lot of you are aware that like, okay, here I am again, because to me, the Six of Pentacles is also like a karma card of like clearing out old karma. Sixes to me always represent karma, right? Clearing out old karma, clearing out, recognizing old patterns. And maybe some of you are recognizing like, I'm in this pattern where I'm giving a lot to this person and I'm kind of putting them on this pedestal. They become my new normal. Like, this way of doing relationships has become my new normal. And you're a Sagittarius, so, there's a lot that you can get done. There's a lot that you can handle and take on. And people generally think like, oh, they're fine with it. They're cool. Kind of in the same way that people always think like, make the assumption that like, oh, because, you're an Aquarius, or because I'm an Aquarius sun, because you're an Aquarius, or because you have a lot of air in your chart, you're somehow emotionally removed, which actually isn't the case. Like, we're actually, like, I can speak for Aquarians, like, we're actually very emotionally, like we become a very emotionally sort of attached or very emotionally invested in things. We're a fixed sign. But we do a good job at sort of masking it or hiding it, or kind of, because we don't want, like, if you knew, right, it'd be like, oh my God, are you sure you're not a Pisces? But, and when I say that to say that Sagittarians, I feel that y'all get sort of this rep of being really free-spirited and lighthearted, and yes, very deep, right? But like, nonetheless, people don't see that. They see a very lighthearted, sort of carefree energy, very independent, very fiery, and so with that comes this sort of assumption that like, oh, they're fine. Like, they don't really need much from me. This person's super independent. They're not needy whatsoever. They don't, ask much of me. And they seem to be very carefree and lighthearted. And so it must be okay for me to kind of not give them all of what I have to offer because they're going to be fine, right? But that's not really the case. And so I do feel that a lot of you with this Hierophant card are getting to the bottom, right? Like, you're getting to the bottom of like, well, what is it that I like? How do I keep accepting this kind of situation? How do I keep accepting, being put in situations where, like, I have to kind of scramble for breadcrumbs, and people think that it's okay because, yes, I'm super strong and I'm capable and I laugh and I have a great sense of humor and I'm very honest about how I feel. And so, of course, if they thought that I had a problem, I would tell them, but it doesn't mean that you still aren't, like, you're still incredibly deep, right? Ninth house is incredibly deep. Like, it's higher learning, higher understanding. It's where all the information collected by Gemini goes and is then discerned and pulled apart and is turned into something that's actually incredibly valuable for the masses, right? And it's spiritual in nature. So y'all are incredibly deep and people don't really see that. So I feel that a lot of you are recognizing or seeing here with this Hermit card that some of you might be stepping away, right? I feel temporarily from this situation, from this person. And they know, like, they'll understand, right? Because they're a King of Cups. They have the emotional depth to understand, like, that you just need space. You need to break away from this space, right? And like I said before, with the Wheel of Fortune showing up, I definitely do see shifts occurring in this relationship. And then Six of Swords. So yeah, I do feel that a lot of you are able to sort of discern and pick apart, like, what is this pattern that I keep engaging in? What is the nature of this? And you're able to sort of move on from it, right? You recognize what's at the source, right? Because fire is always at the source. What's at the source of this? How can I better understand this on a spiritual level? And I feel that a lot of you do take the lessons and you move on. It doesn't have to necessarily be that you move on from the person, right? We'll pull an outcome card to see. But I do feel that a lot of you are choosing to take some space and to really actually acknowledge, like, I'm walking into this with an old pattern or an old way of doing things that I'm holding on to, right? We have the Hierophant and the Four of Pentacles. So there's some kind of pattern. There's some kind of normal that you're holding on to. And in between is the Three of Cups. So I do feel that it has to do with how you come together with people, how you come together in relationships, and that there's always sort of this element that, like, it's not ever just the two of you. Right, and this person here, like, has to sort of sparse out, right? Like, and they want to do good. They mean well. They want to do good, right? Like, they're trying to be fair between these two situations. They're trying to be fair. If it's a third-party situation and it's not, if it's a situation that you know about, say if you're in a polyamorous relationship, where dating other people, being in other situations has been discussed respectfully, and there have been guidelines set up, and you both are in agreement with it, then this person is doing their best to sort of maintain, right, like, these different connections that they've sort of built with these different people. But if you are the primary partner and you feel that you definitely want more time, or you feel like, I'm kind of tired of sharing you right now, or I want it to just be me and you, right? Like, I would communicate that, peacefully communicate that, right? Because the Six of Swords also represents, like, like all of these, moving on from hardships, moving into calmer waters, right? And being able to sort of, with time, not immediately, but with time, sort of communicate and in an objective way, like, what each of these swords has kind of means for you, or has represented for you in the relationship. So I do feel that a lot of you might be moving on from relationships if it's not working out for you anymore. And if it's a third party situation where you know what's going on, but it's kind of being done behind your back, right? Or the person thinks that they're getting away with it, yeah, leave. If it's a situation where the person is working all the time, or they have other things that they're trying to do and they're very focused on that, and you feel that they only have so much that they can give you, take some time for yourself. Because you can drive yourself crazy in those situations trying to get somebody to see you. when they only kind of have time to see something else. So can I get an outcome card for Sagittarius for December 2017? Outcome for Sagittarius. Outcome for Sagittarius 2017. The Chariot. Yeah. So I feel, again, some of you might definitely be dealing with a Cancer. So I feel that some of you are definitely going to take some time, right? The Hermit, the Six of Swords, there's a realization that, like, there's some things in this that, like, feel very familiar, and I'm not really liking it. So I'm going to take the time to sort of sift through those things, and then to kind of understand, like, how can I move away from this? And so I do feel that a lot of you are going to make a choice as to whether to stay or go. But I see the Chariot also as really being in your power and celebrating those parts of you that make you so fantastic and amazing, right? And I feel that a lot of you are actually going to gain, because the Chariot to me also represents, like, this guy's the driver. The Chariot is the driver. The Chariot is in control. So I do feel that the situation, as with the Wheel of Fortune, kind of shifts. And now it's like, oh, now, like, I kind of, like, I feel like this person might, kind of come and recognize and feel like, oh, I recognize that I've kind of, right? Because absence makes the heart grow fonder. So when you decide to step away, this person might recognize, like, oh, like, maybe I haven't been treating them the way that they need to be treated, or maybe I haven't been showing up so fairly, or maybe I thought I was being fair, but I was just kind of handing out breadcrumbs, right? Or I thought I was being fair. Like, this King of Cups, I don't feel like is really trying to manipulate you or really trying to use you or, anything of that nature. I just feel like they're really focused on, trying to establish their own status. Trying to establish themselves at work. But I do feel that I hate to say that you'll get the upper hand, right? Because that implies some kind of power dynamic. But I do feel that, one, you have a lot more power and authority in the situation than you think. And you actually have the ability to drive the situation as you want it to be driven. Like, you can determine what direction you want it to go in. And I do see, once again, a lot of you sort of moving on full force, right? And leaving this person behind who I do feel is going to regret it if you were to leave them behind. But then again, it's like, sometimes you just got to say, fuck people's feelings and do what you got to do, right? But I do feel that a lot of you at the end of it all are going to feel, it's empower. This card to me represents empowerment, especially how it's depicted here. Like, this person feels incredibly empowered. And they're just like, if you're going to step to me, don't bring no bullshit. Right? Like, I've been hanging tight with you for, like, however long now. I've been willing to accept, right, that, like, this third aspect is a part of our relationship, and I've welcomed it. I've allowed it to come in. I've let this other third situation, it could be a person, right? Again, it could be a job, it could be another obligation, somebody else's kids, right? Like, I've allowed for the three of us to come together in joy and harmony and union, because yes, I'm a Sagittarius, I'm very open-minded, I'm very understanding, I'm very free-spirited, but don't take that for granted. Don't take my lightheartedness and don't take my willingness to sort of be so optimistic about things for granted. Because I'm still a human that has limitations emotionally. We all have emotional limitations. Some are farther than others. Right? But I do see a lot of you who are, like, taking a stand and, like, me or that thing or that person or that job, right? And not so much me or the other, but, like, you have to put more time and effort into this if this is going to work. So that's your reading, Sagittarius. I like it a lot. I do like it because at the end of it, I feel like this is a very empowering situation. It's also the Cancer card, so some of you might definitely be dealing with a Cancer. And Cancers, have mastered the art of sort of masking what's going on underneath, right? They're surrounded by a hard shell. And I feel that a lot of it has to do with fear about just feeling, because cancers can feel so deeply. Water signs in general, but cancers have the capacity to really feel. But I do see, I do see, something coming to a head with this Wheel of Fortune card, and that a resolution presents itself, but that you actually are really the driver and the determinant, if that's even a word, of this, of how this resolution goes and whether you stay or go. So Sagittarius, that's your reading. I hope you resonated with it. If you didn't, there's tons of other readings on YouTube. Again, I'm so happy it's Sag season. I love you guys, and I will see you in January. All right, bye.